What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today I'm continuing the Toronto Maple Leafs player previews. This time it is going to be on Travis Dermott. Now, the 2021-2022 season for Travis Dermott is going to be an interesting one, but before we get into that, I'd really appreciate it if you are new here to like this video and subscribe, especially because there's so much Leaf content coming up. The season is right around the corner, so there's tons of previews and rumor videos, everything like that coming out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are new here, I am going to be at the September 25th game against the Montreal Canadiens, the first preseason game in Toronto. So if you guys are going to be there, let me know down below in the comments so we can talk some hockey. I think that'd be really cool. But yeah, let's get on to this player preview. Now, Travis Dermott is one of the more intriguing players going into this season because I honestly wasn't sure what kind of contract he was going to get, and even if it was even going to be with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I figured the Leafs might package him in a trade, or they might just end up trading him for a pick if they find a suitable replacement, if they felt like Sandin and Liljegren was going to be fine on the bottom pairing. I ultimately think that if Bogosian had decided that he wanted to stay in Toronto, that Travis Dermott was going to be gone, because I think Bogosian played a really solid game for the Leafs, and they're definitely going to miss him. But Dermott's only 24 years old. He is 6 feet tall, just over 200 pounds, and what a lot of people are ignoring in Dermott's game is that he's actually dedicated himself to being a grittier and tougher defenseman over the last couple of years. We've even seen him in practice trying to learn how to fight properly. There's been a few guys that have tried to show him how to properly jersey someone, or just grab the jersey, or even just throw a proper punch in a fight, which to me shows that, first of all, he's not a soft defenseman. And if you still think that, you haven't watched him out front of the net. I actually do believe he's a grittier defenseman than people give him credit for. But he's showing that he wants to evolve his game from just being a guy that can put up a decent amount of points. Because coming out of the Marley system, and especially coming out of the OHL, he was a part of the really good Erie Otters teams. But he's always been a guy that can put up good numbers, and the way that he played when he first came to the Leafs showed that he was definitely going to be a more skillful guy than a grittier guy. But like I said, he's evolved. Now, this $1.5 million contract surprised me a little bit. It's for this year and the next year. So what this means is that next year, let's say the Leafs lose Morgan Rielly. Well, Dermott has to be there for depth, even if they still believe Sandin can jump up a little bit in the lineup, or, because what people are, and again, we're going to talk about this, the Leafs can sign another defenseman for less than Morgan Rielly, even though I want them to keep Morgan Rielly, and this is about Dermott. But the Leafs could ultimately just bump up, Muzzin to play with TJ Brody, and then have Sandin play with Justin Hall, and then, find a suitable replacement on the bottom pairing with Dermott, or maybe they just use Liljegren, or they go out and sign another top four guy. It's not like it's the end of the world, but I think ultimately they're going to end up re-signing Morgan Rielly for a decent number, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. I think the $1.5 million for this year and next year is just like, okay, we're going to give you a little bit of extra money because we want that second year. We want you to stick around for another season. And shorter contracts usually have higher average annual values. Although I don't believe Dermott really deserved $1.5 million. This was the deal that came out of it, and the market for defensemen was really high this offseason, and it continues to be really high. The only deal that I think was an absolute steal was the Colton Parayko contract. But as you can see here, and what I was talking about in terms of points, 24 points in 59 games played with the Marlies here. He looked really, really good. And if you go back to his, like I said, his years with the Erie Otters, he was really, really good. But coming up, again here, 18 points in 28 games played. And even his first season with the Leafs, his rookie year, all right? Or technically you can consider this his rookie year, but 13 and 37 games, not too bad. But 17 and 64, again, not too bad for a guy that wasn't considered to be, their top four guy. But he had 3 points in 7 playoff games as well. With the Marlies, he also was putting up decent numbers in the playoffs. He's always been a guy that can give you a decent amount of points. But what you've seen in this last season, in 51 games played, was only 6 points. Now, to me, this isn't all his fault. Now, did I think Dermott had a good season? No, because I actually think defensively and offensively he looked a little lost. But I think it was because there was a lack of a role for him. I don't think that they really gave him a defensive plan. I don't think that they were like, oh, well, he's going to become a defensive guy this year and maybe add a little bit to a second power play unit or something like that. It was just, okay, he's going to be an all over the place guy when we need him in this situation, in this situation. It wasn't offensive-minded Travis Dermott or defensive-minded Travis Dermott. It was just a mix, and I think that he needs an assignment. Much like with Nazem Kadri, when he fixed his game, it was because Mike Babcock said this is his assignment. He's going to be a shutdown guy. He's going to go out there and piss people off, and he's still going to be able to score because he's that good. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs need to figure out a way to give Dermott an assignment, and if they're able to do that, then I think he's better suited on this team. Because if you look at his numbers, this was during the regular season. This guy was all the way down the list. 6 points in 51 games played. I mean, Bogosian had 4 points in 45 games played, and he's like just supposed to be a defensive defenseman. I mean, the guy doesn't do much offensively. Rasmus Sandin in 9 games had 4 points, and he's, a pretty gifted defenseman, but you would think in 9 games he wouldn't be closing in on Dermott in 51 games played, considering Dermott is pretty damn gifted offensively as a defenseman. So I think this season what the Toronto Maple Leafs have to do is kind of shelter Sandin and Dermott on that bottom pairing, because it's more than likely going to be those two with Liljegren mixed in. Because if Dermott doesn't play well enough, Liljegren is going to be the replacement. They want to give this guy an opportunity, and who knows what happens if Liljegren impresses so much in camp that Dermott's on the outside looking in. It is still a possibility. That $1.5 million, some of it can be buried in the minors, and quite frankly, the Leafs could trade him. Dermott doesn't have no value. Dermott has value still. He's still a pretty decent defenseman. Like I said, they have to give him an assignment. And if I'm noticing that, I'm sure most GMs and scouts and everything like that know that if Dermott is given a proper task and assignment, that he'll be able to change his game. It's happened many times to a bunch of different players, but this season was the outlier for Travis Dermott. He's looked good every other season, and not even putting up a stupid amount of points. He just looked good because he was playing an offensive-minded game while being able to be a little gritty out front of the net. It seems repetitive, but it's so obvious. This guy needs an assignment. He needs to be told, this is the way that you're going to play. We don't need you to be all over the place. If you want to stay in this lineup, you have to do this and do it properly. And if he doesn't, he's not going to be on this team. I love Travis Dermott. I've met him multiple times. I think he's a standout, fantastic guy. Literally, the guy is absolutely fantastic. He's great with the fans. He's great with the kids. He's great in the community. Every single thing that's put in front of him, he signs. He's a good guy. I just want him to succeed 100%. I love this guy. I think he's fantastic, and I honestly don't think we've seen the best of him. And I think people might not agree with me there, but he's still fairly young. And I actually do believe that once he's given a proper role, that he can succeed, much like his first year or so with this team. So let me know what you guys think, if you agree with me. I think Dermott's really good, and I think that this year it's a make or break year for him, because regardless of what that contract says, the Leafs need to find ways to get better. And if they believe that Dermott, as you know, a seventh defenseman, or even on the outside looking in, is the way that it's going to go, then unfortunately that's what it's going to be, because Timothy Liljegren is much better than people are giving him credit for also. So if you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Tons more videos are on the way. Yeah, I feel like this one was one of the better previews just because I had a lot to say about Dermott. But again, thank you to all the people watching this, new subscribers, people who have been here since day one. I love and appreciate you guys as always. And yeah, September 25th, I will be at the game. So let me know if you're going to be there. Peace.